What is up, YouTube? This is Leprechaun, you got Chat with the Cat, back again for another video. This week we're going to be taking a look at another archetype that premiered in the Dark Illusions as a TCG exclusive. Last week we decided to cover the Spirals, and this week we're going with the Subterror archetype. Now this is an interesting little archetype comprised primarily of high-level monsters and their ability to flip summon and then flip themselves back down. The whole deck does have an interesting little spotlight on it, and if we were to compare it to the last TCG sets that we got, that being the Kaijus and the Cosmos, I would say these ones are probably the Cosmo of the two, meaning that this is probably going to be the stronger of the decks between it and the Spirals, since the Spirals still currently seem like they're lacking any real cohesive game plan aside from Get Out Super Agent. But the Subterrors do have a decent amount to work with, even with only the 4 cards, so without any further ado, let's go ahead and see what they can do. Starting with Subterror Nemesis Warrior. Level 4 Earth Warrior monster with 1800 attack and 1200 defense, so he can be searched out with Rhoda, which is already off to a good start. His effect states that during either player's turn, you can send one Subterror monster from your deck to the graveyard. Tribute this card and at least one other monster so that the original levels tributed equal or exceed the level of that Subterror monster in the graveyard, and if you do, special summon that monster in face up or face down defense position. If a Subterror Behemoth monster is flipped face up while this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card. You can only use each effect of Subterror Nemesis Warrior once per turn. So this guy is essentially meant to get out the Subterror monsters and in order for him to keep coming back in order to accomplish the same thing. So he's basically the gateway to the bigger monsters, the first of which being Subterror Behemoth. I apologize for the name butchery I'm about to commit, but Umastrix. It is a level 7 Earth Reptile flip effect monster with 2k attack and 2700 defense. Its effect, well, its flip effect, is that you can target one monster your opponent controls and banish it. You can only use this effect of Subterror Behemoth Umastrix once per turn. Then its regular effect states that when a face-up monster you control is flipped face down, if you control no face-up monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand in defense position. Then once per turn, you can change this card to face down defense position, which is a very handy thing to be able to do. So this is probably a pretty good card, just for its ability to banish monsters. It does unfortunately have that whole targeting thing. So there are certain monsters that'll have a difficult time working around, but overall still pretty good. Its secondary effect, I believe, is shared with the other Subterror Behemoth, so it's still pretty good. It works around just making sure that they can always be on the field and be able to flip themselves face up and down, so despite their levels, they are usually pretty easy to get out. And then the other Subterror Behemoth is Subterror Behemoth Stalagmo. He is a level 10 Earth Rock Flip monster with 2800 attack and 2100 defense. His flip effect says that you can discard one Subterror monster, and if you do, draw 2 cards. You can only use this effect of Subterror Behemoth Stalagmo once per turn. When a face-up monster you control is flipped face up, if you control no face-up monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand in defense position, and then once per turn you can change this card to face down defense position. So again, the secondary effect is the same as the other Subterror Behemoth, with its ability to get out onto the field and flip itself back face down. Its initial flip effect I'm not sure is really all that amazing, just since we only have 3 Subterror monsters, though if you do run a complete playset of each, that is still a quarter of the deck, so I guess you could argue it is still pretty good. But it's hard to argue with 2800 attack regardless. Now, what really ties them all together is actually their field spell, which is the Hidden City. So, unfortunately, you can't use this with anything that says a Subterror card, but this card is still immensely helpful. Obviously, starts with terraforming. What it does, since it's a field spell, what it does is that when this card is activated, you can add one Subterror monster from your deck to your hand. So kind of like the Zephyra field spell, where once it's played, you get to search, which is very helpful. Next, once per turn, you can change one face-down defense position Subterror monster you control to face-up attack or defense position. So that's extremely helpful with the monster's ability to flip themselves face-down. However, since that is a once per turn thing, you can't abuse it too much, but you can, in theory, summon them face-down, use the effect of the Hidden City to flip them face-up, and then use that monster's effect to flip it back face-down. So you can get a lot going on with them. This next effect says that once per turn, when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can change one face-down defense position Subterror monster you control to face-up attack or defense position. Then you can negate the attack. You can only activate one of the Hidden City per turn. So you can't go playing multiple copies of it on top of each other, which is a smart thing to do because otherwise this card would be easily spammable. And its ability to both activate the flip effects of its Subterror monsters and negate attacks is extremely powerful. So, especially if you were to flip this guy with his ability to banish monsters. So if that monster has the ability to be targeted, then you're essentially banishing it for its attack. So it essentially turns the Hidden City into an infinite use, dimensional prison. So overall, even though it is just 4 cards, I do think this deck has a lot of potential. It is a very powerful archetype with some very powerful monsters. And again, this is just the cream of the crop. We're obviously going to be getting more, so what we're seeing is just the initial part of what the deck is capable of. I'm sure we're going to be getting more of the big ones, maybe some smaller ones, and of course some spell trap support on top of just the Hidden City. This deck may be able to work well with other flip effect decks like Ghost Strix perhaps. I'm not entirely sure, but either way, it is still an immensely powerful archetype just by itself. And I can feel like of the two, between this and Spirals, this will probably end up becoming at least somewhat meta. It may take some time to fully get there, but it took Cosmos a little while to get their Dark Destroyer, so I'm sure in time the Subterrors will acquire some stupidly powerful card that will also make them ridiculously good. But that is all I have for you guys for now. What did you guys think of the Subterrors? Do you guys agree with me that these guys will eventually become a meta force to be reckoned with, or am I reading too far into this and they're just okay? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Of course, you can also let me know your thoughts and opinions on Facebook. I regularly update it to keep you guys in the loop. Of course, don't forget to also like this video and subscribe to my channel for further content. Until next time, peace.